They'll probably say, where exactly are you going with this? I see you really trying to take it there. Old school flow, chew you out, ain't fair. Jordan pants don't...
Yo, what up YouTube, it's your boy Zah. But anyways, man, I'm about to hurt a lot of people's feelings with this video. And this is not in response to some weirdo that came on my channel a long time ago. Not even a long time ago, but recent, it said, because I made 2 videos about transgender that was transphobic or whatever. And I'm just here to dispel that. I just, see things in the news that I might not necessarily agree with, and I choose to speak on them, like this whole transgender thing. Now understand, back in the days, it's like David Chappelle said, the gays were a lot stronger mentally, physically, and it wasn't just like you could just run over them. A lot of gay dudes that I knew personally would beat the shit out of most normal men. Like they put them to shame. I knew some that were knockout artists. See, especially in the county jail, you had them, they still walked around, and the ones that walked around was the ones really with the business. I can name you some names, but I don't want to throw it out there. But a lot of people in California and that been in the system know that there's some that were really with them knuckles. Now, unfortunately for them, they're only relegated to certain pins now because they're no longer able to walk the line because they started gang up. This little fool's a crazy little cat. But anyways, so they're relegated to certain yards, but they were still about the business, and they weren't so sensitive. When you call them out their name, they'll bust in your mouth, and that's just what it is. But I'm noticing this whole transgender movement now is sensitive. Like you truly are the snowflakes. Like and the fact that people like to throw racism out there. If you notice, when it comes to anybody that knows anything about the gay community, knows racism in that group is really prevalent. Like I've heard call other black gay people out their name. Like they'll call them the N-word, and before you know, you got 7-8 jumping this one black gay dude because they figure they can do it like that. That community is really like it's funny that they like to point out the fact that people are have phobia against gays, but it's just not everybody agrees what you're doing. Me personally, I don't care what you're doing. The only time I really care what you're doing is when you try to put it on social media and flush it down our children's throats. As far as like, I seen a post that was the homie had put up, and it was Superman kissing Lois Lane's stepson or son, and it was just one of those things that caught me off guard, especially seeing that I'm a major fan of Superman. Like that's one of my favorite characters, and it's like when you see that, it's like disheartening. Now don't get me wrong, that's not the first time I seen it. They did the same thing with Batman. They just came out with it, said that Robin was in fact bisexual, and they had him kissing Batman, which I found disturbing for a few different reasons. For one, these are characters in comic books that should be I should say hold sacred, because this is what a lot of us grew up with. We grew up with that that whole masculine save the world type heroes, and just fighting crime, whatever, regardless of where we ended up in the future. But we really grew up with that with that train of thought, like, there's really heroes out there. And when you see a comic, even though it's fictional, it's like a lot of people took things from these comics and ran with them as they got older. Like you'll see some cats became cops, and some people work in the CIA and work here. A lot of that was determined by what we read as little kids. Now you got these people that like I said, like when it's not directly affecting our children or my children, I don't care. It's like you should be able to do what you want, love who you want, and fuck who you want. You know what I mean? But when you put it on social media, or you put it in things that our children are gonna eventually read, it's like, it's one thing to desensitize people to certain things, but it's another thing to shove this down their throat. Now the same and this is exactly what you're doing. This is what you're doing. You're shoving this down our kids' throat and making them accept this, making them think that this is right. It may be right in your world because that's what you choose to embrace. This is something that's a part of you, but don't mean it should be right for my kids. My kids should be able to grow up with their own train of thought. Now, this weirdo had jumped on my channel on one of my recent videos when I did the whole transgender thing. And understand, I'm not transphobic, but that community seems to be crying a whole hell of a lot and making it seem like their plight is on the same level as the black man, and it's not. a lot of, and to be honest, the whole BLM movement and the fact that you piggybacked your whole shit off of that, they made it, you at one time you couldn't stand black gays and black transgenders, but all of a sudden when you could utilize that in order to propel into the spotlight, you jumped on it, and it became less about oppression, which, you know, people like to throw that word out there loosely, but we'll just say it was less about oppression and more about getting your laws passed and making it easy for you to, you know, do certain things and move within certain circles, and making it basically against the law to ostracize you or put you in your corner. And like I said, everybody's entitled to do what they want. I have friends that are gay and they're cool. There's nothing wrong with them. They do what they do. You know, some of them have a better fashion sense than females, which those are really the ones that's giving females pointers. But see, they don't cry about it. I know a lot of gay people that don't cry about every little thing. That, you know, they take it as it comes, because blacks deal with it, Mexicans deal with it, a lot of whites deal with it. Everybody deals with some sort of discrimination. But it just is what it is. Now you work through the problems and part of the way of working through these problems is sitting down and having a real conversation. You're trying your best to discredit Dave Chappelle and put him in a box and try to contain him, and that's pretty much what happens when you go at this particular. You can go at the gay community. A lot of them, they gonna get back on you, and a lot of them will probably catch you in public and want to fight you. A lot of them are just that raw. You don't hear the lesbians crying about it. You don't hear none of that. It's only the transgender community. Now it's like they try to, the whole LGBT whatever. You know what I mean? And that's not to disrespect you, but it's just like when would it? You're crying about a plight, and it's like you preaching to the choir. Like for you to go to another black man and tell him that you're suffering more than him, or that you suffer more place than him, you can compare the numbers and you will come nowhere close to it. A lot of different people have suffered plight. You had the Jews suffered a lot. We suffered a lot. Other races have suffered a lot. And though I like to point out the fact that, you know, blacks weren't the only ones to be enslaved, it's just the numbers were a lot greater and it was a lot more. But like I said in the past video with Zod's vision, it was more less about race and more about class. Like if you were white, you know what I mean, and you didn't have the type of money, and you were relegated to a certain, and you were a slave, you know what I'm saying, or poverty, whatever. So you got bought and traded like it was just like anybody else. It just, they so happen to be able to connect with our people and be able to ink out some little thing, and we got the short end of the deal. But not me personally. That's why I don't get on here and really say nothing about it. But not to go off topics, I'm just basically saying like this, like for the whole LGBTQ community, you need to develop a thicker skin. You are too sensitive, and everything that don't fit your narrative is ostracized. It's like, or you like to put slander on social media. Me, I don't care. You know, a lot of people be on me anyway because just my background and the fact that I'm thugging. You know what I mean? And it's and a lot of people with my way of thinking and that have lived a life that I live, they don't really care what you're feeling. See, at least I'm gonna get on here and say that I don't really have no problem with you, period. I don't have problems with gays. I don't have problem with none of them. But the whole transgender community, the way that you guys are out there just really trying to, you know, when you start interfering with people's money, that's how they live, that's how they take care of their kids. You're interfering with their food because you got hurt feelings off comics. Comics talk about all the time. If you notice, David Chappelle is on Jews, he's on whites, he's on blacks, he's on everybody. Everybody gets a little piece of the pie because it's comedy. And yeah, and it's supposed to be, if you seen like Richard Pryor, you know, man, I can go on and on. Mooney, the one that died, like, man, it was, some comics play it closer to the edge than others. But if you notice, it's just what it is. This is how comics make their money, by being funny, the punchlines. He said something along the line, I don't want to rule for you, spoiler if you guys haven't watched it, but he mentioned his friend that was transgender, and the fact that you know, she ended up killing herself because her community went at her like like she just wasn't a part of the community, and that just goes to show you. It's like they had the one thing that happened in New York where the vendor was out there trying to sell food. He didn't even feel well, but he tried to go out there and support it even though he wasn't gay himself, and he ended up getting beat up, and they threw stuff in his face, and they did and I had made a comment on social media, and all of a sudden my Instagram just all of a sudden both pages just got knocked down. And I eventually got it back and could get no real reason why it happened. It wasn't the time when Facebook and Instagram went down. This was a while ago. And I had to make a whole nother page. And even that one was starting to have issues. And it was just one of those things like, this is what happens. Like you people say you don't have the cancel culture. Notice some of these channels. Quiet as hell when things like this happen. You got these channels that are super pro-black, super supposed to be about their people and dealing with people that try to, do them bad. But as soon as the David Chappelle thing came, nobody really wants to say nothing. Or they'll make excuses. Oh, his style is more like dry humor, it's Jewish type. Like, like I don't really understand. But I'm not gonna get into it. All I'm gonna say like this, man. And this is no disrespect to nobody, but you really need to really sit down and think about certain things that you're doing. The whole bisexual Robin, bisexual this and kissing Superman, like you're ruining childhoods with that bullshit. Nobody wants to see that shit. Like I said, if you are who you are, you are who you are. But some of you remind me of pedophiles. Like you're trying to desensitize in a way so they grow up the same way that you are. Like, so I'm starting to wonder, were you born that way or somebody make you that way? Because you're starting to do things that just don't really make no sense, and there's no real justification in it. There's more than an adequate amount of justification in what I'm saying, because a lot of people don't want to see it. They don't want their kids to grow up thinking that shit is just fly. Like, you have females that have fads, they mess around with other females and it's a fad. But nobody wants their kid to do that and then in the future realize that wasn't him, but he was influenced by the weirdos on TV that keep doing this shit. Like, it's nothing. Like, you may not like me because I'm telling you the truth, but it's just like, my kid don't need to see the bullshit that you putting out there. Like I said, when it's your life, it's your life. But don't force it down my kid's throat. Don't press it, no pun intended, but don't push my kid to be not even desensitized, but to think that it's all good. You know what I mean? Because in a sense, it's like I said, I may not have no problem with you, but it's not all good. I don't know. There's a lot of people on social media right now that ain't feeling this. That the fact that the whole LGBTQ community is attacking David Chappelle, and they attack everybody that doesn't like the shit that they're peddling. But they're too scared to say anything about it. Why? Because people have a way of influencing certain things. It's like, it's crazy. It's like you can't really say nothing without being some sort of backlash over it. It's like, people should grow balls. Tell these motherfuckers what it is. Like, it's just like, do what you do, but it's not cool for you to make my kid think it's cool. Tolerance, yeah. To see you and not discriminate against you, yeah. But for my kid to think, oh yeah, that's the way I should go, oh, fuck out of here. Nobody wants to, you know what I mean? Like, whatever way you guys want to go, that's cool. But my kid shouldn't have to bear witness to that shit. Like, it's just like, and see, and there's the problem right there, because people will get on here and be like, well, why should it bother you? Because my fucking son looking at the TV, seeing dudes doing all types of crazy stuff. Like, you really pressing the narrative. You trying to indoctrinate us into this bullshit. We don't want to see it. Plain and simple fact. Like, I don't have no problem with you, but I'm not gonna kick it right there while you doing your thing. So why should my kid have to force to do this, force to salute? And the only flag my son is saluting is the American flag and nothing else. My son is not gonna be. And here's the thing: if my son was to grow up and be that way, I'm gonna support it because it's my blood. But that's gonna be a choice he make in the future, not because he watched Dora the Explorer kiss another. Like, nah. You know what I'm saying? Like, it ain't happening. And if you don't like it, that's just your motherfucking problem. That's just what it is. I don't agree with nothing you say. And that's cancel culture. that he's trying to press and trying to push David Chappelle out and anybody else, the baby and everybody else. Yeah, the baby was kind of gritty with what he said, but come on, man. Could you imagine what's being said behind closed doors? You know how many people with alternative lifestyle have disrespected blacks and disrespected... Dude, watch. All I'm going to say is this. Learn to pick and choose your battles. If everything people say about you offends you, you're just a fucking snowflake. Like, I get it. The whole left agenda pushing towards demasculine, you know what I mean? Of men. Like, it's not that, you know. David Chappelle pointed out for you the whole feminine move, what it truly meant, you know, before they took it and just made it about women, but what it truly meant. Like, people should do their homework. And for the next person that come on my channel talking about, and it's crazy because the person that brought it up wasn't black, but he was like, do you know how they ostracize blacks that are gay? Like, yeah, I know my community. Why are you talking about it? It's not yours. It's not like they ostracizing you. And then the dude turns out to say that he doesn't live an alternative lifestyle. He's not gay. He's nothing. But he's on here basically willing to fight me over this topic. You know what I mean? Because it wasn't just one video, but he's in all kinds of other videos. So if he's a troll, then he's a troll. But anyways, man, with that being said, I sorry this video is so long. But yeah, man, if you're against it, man, push this, man. Don't allow them to force this shit down our kids' throat. Like, it's just not cool. And if you're on here and you live an alternative lifestyle, like I said, I have no problems with you. But don't make it seem like we have to accept absolutely everything you do. Out of here. You ain't gonna accept the fact if I got out and robbed one of your family members. But you should be tolerant of that. You know what I mean? Like, but you know, maybe he made them. Nah, hell nah. There's just certain things that just ain't cool. Learn and pick to choose your battles, and don't be so snowflake about absolutely everything. To the left, to the left. Fuck out of here. Anyway, I'm your boy Zon. I'm out.
Kneel before Zod!